Have you ever thought about what happens to a state when the money dries up, but life keeps going? The roads start to crack, the schools become memories, the hospitals close their doors, and crime becomes your new neighbor. Feels like the setup for a dystopian novel, right? But it's not fiction. In parts of America today, this is real life, made worse by trade wars and economic shifts. Today on Virtual Travel, we're exploring 10 U.S. states balancing on a financial tightrope, staring down into a canyon with no soft landing below. These are places where just one bad recession, one industry meltdown, or even one wild hurricane could push things from bad to, let's pack it up, honey. We're talking states drowning in debt, losing people by the thousands, and running on systems so fragile that a sneeze from Washington could send them into chaos. Some states you'll expect. Others might surprise you. But they all have one thing in common. If a national downturn hits, they'll be the first to fall. Is your home state on the list? Stick around and find out. Ready? Let's go. Number 10, Mississippi, the cracking magnolia. Mississippi. The only real shock is that it isn't number 1. When you picture Mississippi, maybe you see cotton fields, catfish ponds, and quiet towns where the Friday football game is the main event. But under that southern charm is an economy so brittle it could snap in a stiff breeze. Here's the reality: Mississippi is among the poorest states in the U.S. Median household income? Around $62,000 for a couple, a full quarter below the national average. Nearly 25% of residents live below the poverty line, and only 53.8% of working-age adults have jobs or are looking for work, the second lowest rate in the country. Mississippi's economy clings to agriculture and old-school manufacturing, both of which have been shrinking for decades. The state missed out on the industrial boom and stuck with low-wage jobs and crumbling infrastructure. When NAFTA rolled in, textile jobs vanished. When the Great Recession hit, Mississippi was left behind and recovery is still slow. Education? Mississippi usually lands dead last in K-12 rankings. Only 22% of adults have college degrees, making it tough to attract high-paying industries. Foreign investment is almost non-existent. Rural hospitals have been closing for years, leaving some counties without any emergency care, and roads and bridges are so bad, the American Society of Civil Engineers basically gave up. If a national crisis hits, Mississippi won't last months, it could go dark in weeks. For much of America, the Magnolia State's decline is invisible, but it's happening right now. Number 9, Louisiana, the sinking state. Louisiana is the kind of place that sells postcards, New Orleans jazz, spicy gumbo, swamps filled with alligators. Mardi Gras alone brings in 1 million visitors. But beyond the beads and brass bands, Louisiana is one of America's most financially fragile states. Start with poverty. Almost 19% of residents live below the line. Median household income is about $69,000, far from the top. Unemployment looks average only because so many people have given up looking for work. Louisiana has lived by oil and gas for decades. When oil prices tank, so does the entire economy. And if nature doesn't get you, the weather might. Hurricanes have battered the state repeatedly, costing billions and sending people fleeing. The state's rainy day fund? Just $94 million, less than 2% of the annual budget. Education ranks near the bottom, infrastructure is literally sinking, and 40% of rural hospitals are at risk of closing. Louisiana is stuck in a loop. Disaster knocks out the oil refineries, the budget crumbles, schools and hospitals close, people leave, and the cycle repeats. On the surface, it's all parades and parties. Underneath, the state is running on empty. Number 8, Michigan, the Rust Belt's gamble. Michigan loves a comeback story. It's the home of Ford, GM, and the American auto industry. If you just read the headlines, you might think Detroit is back and the worst is over. But spend some time there, and you'll see Michigan is still struggling. Here's the scary part: in 2024, 38% of Michigan residents were in financial distress, the highest rate in the country. That includes overdue bills, bankruptcies, and maxed-out credit. It's not just Detroit. Flint, Saginaw, and Muskegon are all hurting. Michigan's economy still leans hard on manufacturing, making up 19% of state GDP, twice the national average. When cars sell, things are fine. When the industry stumbles, the whole state suffers, just like in 2008 to 2009 when 400,000 jobs disappeared and housing prices crashed. The infrastructure? Michigan's potholes are legendary. Even the governor ran on a "fix the damn roads" slogan. Flint's water crisis is still not fully resolved, and in rural areas, boil water advisories can last for years. Michigan has also lost nearly 600,000 residents since its 1970s peak, a shrinking tax base, fewer kids in schools, more abandoned homes. Detroit alone has more vacant land than Manhattan. The state is running out of optimism and time. When the next downturn comes, Michigan will be in trouble before anyone notices. Number 7. Texas, the overstretched giant. Texas. Some people will argue with this one: Texas is booming, right? It's the 9th largest economy in the world, with cities like Austin and Dallas exploding in growth. But there's a darker side. 35.9% of Texans were in financial distress in 2024, the second highest in the nation. While the big cities are thriving, rural Texas is emptying out. Schools and hospitals keep closing in those shrinking towns. The Texas housing market used to be affordable. Not anymore. In Austin, the median home price shot up to $540,000 in just a few years. Even in smaller cities, rent is outpacing wages, leaving many working 2 jobs and still unable to buy a home or afford insurance. Texas leads the country in oil and gas production. That's great, until the market crashes or the world shifts to renewables. The 2021 winter storm exposed how fragile the state's infrastructure is, with the grid failing and hundreds dying. Healthcare? Texas has the highest uninsured rate in the country. Rural hospitals are closing fast, 26 since 2010. The legend of Texas resilience is real, but the cracks are showing, and when the next crisis hits, they might not hold. Number 6. Illinois, the debt spiral. Illinois still has a certain glow: Chicago's skyline, top universities, a central spot in the country. But underneath, the state is drowning in financial trouble. The big problem is pensions. Illinois has the worst-funded pension system in the U.S., with $140 to $150 billion in unfunded liabilities. The state's rainy day fund would only keep things running for 15 days if revenue dried up. Property taxes are among the highest in the country, and Illinois has lost population for 10 straight years. In 2023 alone, 100,000 people left. Every person who leaves takes their tax dollars with them, making the problem worse. Infrastructure is decaying outside Chicago. 21% of roads are in poor shape, and over 2,300 bridges need major repairs. Chicago itself is deep in debt, with underfunded schools and police pensions. Major companies are leaving for better business climates. If another recession hits, Illinois could be in freefall. Number 5. Hawaii, paradise on edge. Hawaii, the word alone conjures images of turquoise water and volcanic peaks. But for residents, paradise is getting harder to afford. Hawaii is the most expensive state in America, with prices nearly double the national average. The median home price? $835,000. Tourism makes up 21% of the state's GDP. When travelers stop coming, like during the pandemic, Hawaii's economy collapses. Unemployment hit 21.9% in April 2020, the highest in the nation. Natural disasters hit hard too. The 2023 Maui wildfires killed over 100 people, destroyed thousands of buildings, and cost billions. The economic shockwave spread statewide, especially as tourists canceled trips after seeing the devastation. More native Hawaiians are leaving the islands than ever, searching for affordable homes and jobs on the mainland. Hawaii looks like paradise, but one more disaster could tip it into crisis for years. Number 4, Kentucky, the disappearing heartland. Kentucky is famous for bourbon, horse racing, and rolling hills, but beneath the beauty is a state in trouble. Nearly 20% of residents live in poverty, and in some counties, it's over 30%. The median income is just $58,000. Coal mining, manufacturing, and farming used to support the state, but coal jobs have dropped by more than 70% in the last 15 years. Towns that once thrived are now fading, replaced by low-wage retail and service jobs. Auto manufacturing still matters, but plant shutdowns during global disruptions hit local economies hard. Healthcare is fragile. Over 40% of rural hospitals are at risk of closing, and the opioid crisis is devastating communities. Kentucky relies on federal aid for 40% of its budget, making it vulnerable to any cuts from Washington. Education lags, making it tough to bring in new industries. Kentucky's decline is slow and quiet, but the threads are fraying. One national crisis could snap them. Number 3, Nevada, the high-stakes state. Nevada has built its modern identity on entertainment. Las Vegas and Reno run the show, with tourism and hospitality making up over a quarter of all jobs. In good times, money flows in. But when people stop spending, Nevada's economy falls off a cliff. During the 2008 recession, Nevada had the highest foreclosure rate in the country. Unemployment hit 13.7%. The pandemic was even worse, 30% unemployment, the highest in modern U.S. history. Nevada depends on sales tax and gaming revenue, which disappear fast when tourism dries up. The state refuses to charge income tax, so its budget is small and volatile, with little savings for emergencies. When trouble hits, Nevada has no cushion. Number 2, Alabama, the fraying fabric. Alabama stands tall in history, culture, and football. But financially, it's on the brink. Poverty affects 16% of residents, and in rural areas, child poverty is even worse. Healthcare is a crisis. Alabama has the third highest uninsured rate in the country, and over half of its rural hospitals are losing money. 14 hospitals have closed since 2010, leaving many with long drives for emergency care. The state's infrastructure is crumbling, with 40% of rural roads in bad shape and nearly 500 unsafe bridges. Alabama relies on a few industries, and much of the work is low-wage and unstable. Nearly 42% of the state budget comes from federal aid. Any cuts from Washington could mean disaster. Alabama is resilient, but heart alone can't fix roads or keep hospitals open. The next crisis could push the state over the edge. Number 1, West Virginia, the slow fade. West Virginia is a land of forests, rivers, and stunning mountain views. But economically, it's been struggling for decades. The workforce participation rate is the lowest in the country, with less than half of working-age adults employed or even looking for work. Coal was king for a century, but production has dropped by over 50% in the last decade, and nothing has replaced those jobs. Towns that once bustled are now fighting to survive. The opioid crisis has hit West Virginia harder than almost anywhere else, and healthcare is in a downward spiral. Several rural hospitals have closed, and the state ranks near the bottom for almost every health indicator. West Virginia's population has dropped for 11 straight years, shrinking the tax base and leaving fewer resources for schools, roads, and basic services. Nearly a third of the state budget comes from federal aid. If that money stops, West Virginia won't just struggle, it could collapse. The decline isn't dramatic, but it's relentless. Unless something changes, more towns will go dark, and it'll happen quietly, out of sight. That's our journey through America's most financially fragile states. Did your state make the list? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, please check out another video here on virtual travel. YouTube loves it when you keep exploring with us. Until next time, be good to each other, and safe travels.